Hello, my name is Abram Darnser, and I'm with CM First. And today I'm going to be walking you through a web client mobile workshop that we put together. We have a full download of the workspace and local models and everything that you will need to step through this, but this video will also kind of walk you through the things that we're going to try to accomplish. So we'll start out with our workspace. We already have kind of a preliminary web application put together. Our database is an Apache Derby database that's contained within the workspace. So there's no additional setup that you need to do there. All you have to do is anytime you start Eclipse, you need to start your workspace. So to do that, it's very simple. All you have to do is right-click your Java project. In our case is Traffic Java. Go to Apache Derby and do start our server. And once you see this message, you'll know your database has been started. So I'm also going to start our Tomcat web server, and I'll kind of just show what we have in the application just starting out. So our web server started, and let's refresh our web page. As you can see, we have a pretty slick little menu here. I'll go more into the makings of this later, but our application is pretty simple at this point. Right now all we have is a simple about page. What will be a Twitter feed, right now it's just a blank page. And then a list of, this is basically grid data. The idea of this application is it connects with the state of Maryland's traffic cameras. You'll be able to see the location of the camera within Google Maps, watch live streaming videos of those traffic cameras, all from your mobile device. So right now, not a lot of these features have been implemented. All we have is this, say, Plex Grid, and we have a Plex Combo Box, which we'll do filtering later. So right now what we want to do is we want to add the capability to view the location of each of these cameras in the Google Map and then load the video for each of these cameras. So what we want to do is, in this screen, we want to add a couple of buttons to do that. So it's very simple. In Plex, we will go to our View Cameras function, and we'll go to the panel, and just right-click Grid Buttons P, and we'll add a couple of buttons. And I'm just going to move these so they're easy to see and not right on top of each other. The actual positioning of the objects within the Plex panel doesn't really matter for our mobile environment. As you'll see in the control name, that's basically where we say where every control is going to be. And so here, let me copy some notes. And okay, so this will be our map button. So we'll just simply give it the text of map. And then we need to add our control name so Web Client Mobile will know about it. And so basically what we have here is we have the ID of the control, which we'll just call map button. We have the attach point where we want the button to be on the panel. So we want it to be at the bottom tab bar area. And then we have some, this is more UI look and feel. We're basically giving the button an icon class and an action. And so I'll do the same thing for the video button. I'll add our control name. We have the name of the control, the attach point, and then the icon class. And I'll also give it the button some text as well. And so now I need just to put a Plex event for each of these buttons. So to the pressed event, I'll add a view video event. And for the map, I'll add a view map event. Okay. So I'm just going to take these three functions, and we'll be generating them in a second, but I've got to add my event code to do the calls. So let's go into the event handler and add our events, view map, and view video. And this panel is running off a simple grid control, so whatever we're going to have, whatever you have selected at the time, we're going to open that, run the function based on that record. So we need to do a for each selected grid P, get grid P. And I'll copy this over for video as well since we're kind of doing the same thing. And so then I'm going to call our Web Client Mobile map function and map our input variable to grid P. And I will do the same for the video function as well. Okay, let's save our changes, and all you have to do is generate for this. The building will be handled in Eclipse by Web Client. So we now have it regenerated, so we just need to go to our Java project and refresh it. And Eclipse and Web Client will take over building the objects. So let's now restart our server, our web server. And let's refresh our page. And we'll go to cameras, and you can see our new buttons down here for both map and video. And so let's just show you what happens when we click them. Right now, map and video are just simple functions with edit fields in them to show the latitude and longitude for the map and to show the video URL for the video page. So now what we want to do is we want to make these buttons, make these functions, more robust, make them actually do the things we want. So we have templates that come with Web Client Mobile for both Google Maps and for streaming video. And so what we're going to do is we're going to attach those templates to these controls. So let's go back into our View Cameras function. I'm sorry, wrong function. We'll go into our Camera Map and Camera Video function. And so right now this control name is very simple. All it is an identifier. We say we want it to be in the main area, and we give it a label. So we're going to change this to be using our web map control. So here I'm just going to copy paste and explain what everything does. So once again, we keep our name of the control the same, but now we want it to be in the full screen area, and this will take up the entire area. So for a Web Client Mobile page, you can only really have one thing in the full screen area, but in this case we only want one thing, so that's perfectly fine. And so then we also have to tell it we want to use a different template than what is used by default. So we say template is web map. And we'll go ahead and save. And then we'll go into web video as well and do something similar. And you can see this is, once again, a very simple control name, so we'll change it. And just like the map, we have our we have our name of our object. We have the attach point, and we have the new template we want to use. So we made our changes. Let's go ahead and save and regenerate. And now all we have to do is refresh Eclipse and restart our server. So let's refresh our web page. We'll go into cameras, and now we'll select a record and go to map. And you can see we now load a full Google map in this area, and we have a marker on the actual latitude and longitude that we loaded from our database. And for web video, unfortunately you will not be able to see the video run in my browser because the video type is only made to work for mobile devices, but if you open this application on your phone or tablet, you would be able to see the video. So now I want to go into custom web client templates, ones that are not necessarily included out of the box. For example, we have a Twitter control. Right now we're not really showing anything, but we have a custom Twitter feed control that will be in your custom folder under source. And then this also uses a JavaScript file as well to do basically all the heavy lifting. But in Plex, there's very little you actually have to do to get this to work. So once you have your controls in place, we can go to our traffic Twitter function. And we need to add a field to handle the basically the Twitter ID. In our case, it's MD Traffic, which is the state of Maryland's traffic update Twitter account. So I'll take our Twitter access token, and I'll just kind of drag it to our panel, put it in detail P. And I need to change the control name of this. I'm copy pasting a lot, so you don't have to see me type all these things. But once again, you should be starting to get a good idea of what all this stuff means. We have our control's name, our attach point, and our custom template. And that's really all we have to do there. We should just save, regenerate, wrong project, refresh our Java project, oops, I'm sorry, I didn't restart my server. That is my fault. Okay, now that our server's restarted, we refresh our page. And I'm sorry, I did forget one thing. Right now, the reason nothing loaded is because we didn't set the name of the Twitter control into our Twitter feed. So what we have to do is, at the end of the initialize, before any of the panel objects are shown, we need to set and put that field. So luckily, we already have a value included in the local model for Maryland traffic. And all we have to do is put detail P after that. And so once again, just refresh our Java project and restart our server. So now if we go into our Twitter feed, you can see the Maryland traffic Twitter comes up. Okay, so you may be curious at why our grid data is showing up this way. And it's honestly just not the cleanest, nicest way to do it. By default, Web Client Mobile will just show every field in the grid. And that's generally not a good practice for the mobile environment because you are working with very limited space. So you probably don't want to show all your columns, all your data, because then the real important things get lost in the shuffle. But what you can use is a powerful tool called the Item TPL, which allows you to use basically standard HTML to lay out the grid in whatever way you want. So we already have a custom TPL right here, CamGrid TPL, and here's our actual TPL object being set. And we're using CSS and HTML to make a nice and pretty grid with our grid data. And so to connect our Plex object to this TPL is very simple. All we have to do is put a TPL generator at the end of the control name. So let's go back to our view cameras function. Go to our grid, and at the end of the control name, we're just basically going to put TPL generator, and we're going to point to our custom TPL. Once again, generate our function, refresh our Java project, and restart our server. And so now when I go into my camera grid, you can see it's formatted completely differently. And if you know any HTML or CSS, you're free to customize this however you want to see it. If it's possible in HTML and CSS, you can do it here. And just to show you, kind of give you an idea of some of the possibilities of what you can do, you may not have noticed, but this is actually doing the same thing. This is just a Plex grid, and we're using a custom TPL called Menu TPL to make the grid look this way, to look like a nice iOS menu, basically. So it's a very powerful tool, and it's a really great way to customize your grid data to look however you really need it for your situation. So in our web application, it is kind of hard to tell what each page is, what function we're using. And for the user, not everything is as self-explanatory as it should be. So what we're going to do is use a web client page template to use the actual Plex caption to be displayed at the top of the screen so you know what function you are using. So we have included a panel caption page template in your traffic custom source. And so to use this, all you have to do is create an object with the impl name of panel caption within Plex, and then have your functions inherit from that. And Web Client will pick these up and have your pages be generated with this custom code. So very simple to do. So all we have to do, we'll go into our abstract and just create a panel caption pattern. And we'll give it an impl name of panel caption. Let's go ahead and copy this, and we'll have every function that uses our back button pattern also use this caption pattern. So we'll just add an ISA, and we'll look at the dependencies of this function to see what we need to regenerate. And here are all of our direct errors, and we'll just regenerate those. Once again, refresh our Java project and restart our server. And we'll refresh our web page, and we'll go to our camera screen, and you can see we have our caption of MD traffic cameras. And if we go to any of the other screens, you'll see it as well. You'll see our Twitter account name. So that's a good example of custom page templates. Our workshop also goes through using the Android emulator and then deploying your application to an Android device using an APK. I will not be going through these today because it's very tough to show you these things on a mobile device. But our workshop walks through these step by step, and it's very simple to do. So I hope you enjoyed the workshop, and thank you for listening.